I am a professional video editor and content creator with millions of views into my name. If you don't work with professionalism, you can spend days editing for only advance in a few minutes. So this is a very painful and overwhelming process. But for me, it is not like that. Sometimes I have found myself frustrated for the numbers of projects that I need to make on a weekly basis. In one moment, I was considering on quitting video editing because this job was damaging my mental health, my social life, my relationship, and to be honest, I wasn't having fun of this process. This was very painful because I was sure that this is my passion. I was ready to quit until I discovered the solution, improving my editing work. Right now, I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm hitting the gym, being more productive than ever, and even editing more videos per week. With years of experience, here I'm gonna tell you how I save time on my editing workflow so you can do the same. The first thing you wanna make is plan your editing. If you're editing for other people, you should ask for editing guidelines to know specifically what you're going to do. Every organized channel provides this, so you have a clear idea of the editing you're going to perform. The problem with editing without a plan is that you're gonna find you lost in the project. You will be changing the colors, the clips, the font, and repeating all the tasks. What I did for planning all my edits was creating a database with the different editing styles I know how to perform. Classify it with similarities like pacing, difficulty of animations, and even useful resources and tutorials. If I have two different clients and they don't provide guidelines, which happens a lot, I classify them on the same editing style, but I only change the guideline, which is only the branding of the channel. This is very specific and varies depending on the niche of that channel, but the structure of the editing is the same. I did this database only one time, and I just update the guidelines before picking a new client. This will save you a lot of time and also will bring a lot of value into your edits because you will be able to edit better videos in record time. Once you have set your editing guidelines and your branding, you need to organize the resources you're going to use on this project. I always start by organizing the projects in this way. First, I create a folder that contains the recording resources of the client, and then I create an Adobe folder that will contain my Premiere Pro project, my After Effects project, and my Photoshop project if it is necessary. I also add exports, templates, commonly used assets, which contains footage and specific assets of the client, for example, videos that he wants to put. And at the end, I create a separate folder for sound design, which will contain separate folders for music and sound effects. Once I have all my folders, everything is gonna be organized. I also divide the assets that I use on two specific categories. The first category are individual assets. This is only a name for the assets that I use for that specific project, because obviously every project is different. So I make sure that before starting, I just have at least the majority of the assets I'm gonna use. And then once I finish this project, I pass the best assets into my private library. A private library is only a folder that contains the majority of assets that I use on a weekly basis. And not in a weekly basis, but in all my projects. Overlays, music, sound design, fonts, and every asset that I can reuse, even some images. I'm constantly updating these assets and adding the best images and templates that I found on individual projects. In that manner, I just need to identify the different moods of the video that I'm editing right now. The third point is just to create a good editing workflow. The lack of editing workflow is the first rule why editors are very slow. So probably you don't have a good workflow and just spend more time doing unnecessary tasks. If you're putting the clips together, animating them, adding the effects and transitions, making the sound design frame by frame for a 10-minute videos, you will probably spend at least 1 week for finalizing this project. Even saying this sounds very complicated. I think that all the projects that I do are complex projects. And to be faster, we need to make it easier. So I follow a step-by-step process on what to do first. This is just organization. It's something that you only need to do one time. And these are the rules of my work. The first I do is just trimming. Trimming is just removing the silences or the mistakes you do when you are recording a video. This process is very boring. And obviously, you cannot skip. And for saving time on this process, what you can do is an auto cut. And my favorite is we'll call it Auto Editor. This is a Python-based tool that makes this process instant. And the best feature is that it is free. You just need to go to this website, get Python in your computer, and follow these commands. Once you have this installed, you just need to follow some basic commands on your CMD. This will cut all the silences and save this video as an XML file. With that XML file, you just need to go to Premiere Pro and drag this into your sequence, and that's it. It will remove the majority of the silence throughout the video. If you think that this is very choppy, you can customize the margin between cuts with a command. And my recommendation is using a margin of 1.5 seconds. The next step is just putting the assets that I'm gonna use. This is like dressing the video. I just grab all the B-roll or scenes that I'm gonna put on my project, but without making any modification. Just drag. Once my video is dressed at full, I just need to start with the animations and the text. This is the most painful part of all the project because it's when it takes time to make all these animations. And it's even more painful if you use a lot of After Effects. For saving time on After Effects, what I do is just export the audio and drag that sequence into After Effects. Then, when it's finished, I export that same sequence and drag this into Premiere Pro. And on Premiere Pro, I just make the majority of the animation. For me, I always try to use the less quantity of After Effects in every project, because for me, it just takes a lot of resources from my computer. Also, proxies is an option too. You can use linked compositions, but for me it's a very slow process and it takes a lot of resources from my computer, as I said. Also, this app gave me some projects throughout my career, so I don't recommend using. However, if we do this, we have finished it with our visual and the video is almost ready to go. The final step is just to make the sound design. If we talk about percentage, I spend at least 35% of the time invested on this project in making the sound design and analyzing at the end of every section the emotional shit that this sound design produced in the brain of my viewer. But my favorite tip for saving time is just don't repeat myself. As I said, I'm talking about processes, but I only review all these processes once I have finished all the video. Let's say that I'm wrapping all the content, not making animations but just putting the assets together. I only gonna review the project from start to finish when I finish of wrapping that content, because this allows me to make the corrections as soon as possible, but make the necessary corrections. This will remove the changing part of my projects, because sometimes you're advanced and reviewing all the project. Believe me, I did this before. So you need to edit on layers, and here I'm presenting my layers to you. I'm giving you the action, but you need to take that and apply this into your project, so you would save a lot of time while you're at it. And it's one of the most expensive parts of one YouTube channel, because obviously the freelancer that do this spends a lot of time performing this task. For that reason, the best way to improve the quality and the speed of your videos is just to be happy and enjoy the process. Sometimes I really feel worn out editing, as I say, so this is a very painful and overwhelming process. And I really enjoy editing because I'm always taking breaks and living my life. This work is not only frustrating but also hurts your body because you spend a lot of time sitting in one chair. Also, you are performing creative work, so you will lose your creativity a lot of times during your project. I found that the best way to balance my mental health, my body, and my creativity was taking breaks. I always follow a rule of no more than 45 minutes sitting on my desk, but this makes sure that these 45 minutes are just focus. And after these 45 minutes, I rest no more than 15 minutes. On this rest, I just go outside. Sometimes I make exercise, I just call my family, my friends, I play with my dogs. And the rule I follow is that I need to go outside. These 15 minutes are not for playing, for example, video games. These are for refreshing my mind and getting back to work with a clear focus. If you're here, I know that you're trying to improve your editing speed. And with all these tips, I know that you will be happy with results. And if you want to know how to edit videos like a professional for generating millions of views, check out my latest videos because I outlined how I do this on a daily basis.